Om Stapakaya Dharmasya Sarvadharma Swarupine Stapakaya Dharmasya Sarvadharma Swarupine Avatara Varishtaya Ramakrishna Te Namaha Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Mritangamaya Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Let us bow down to Shiramakrishna, the embodiment of all religions, the Supreme God incarnate. Let us pray to Him to lead us from the unreal to the real, to lead us from the darkness of ignorance to the light of knowledge, to lead us from death to immortality. Well, today's topic, Jnana and Bhakti. Knowledge or devotion. Both of them are very significant. Both of them are needed. We want knowledge, we want devotion. Knowledge with devotion, jnana with bhakti, gives the complete fulfillment of the life. You will have complete joy of illumination. Knowledge is required because you must know a thing before you proceed to achieve it. Suppose you know there is a gold in a particular area. To know that there is gold, that is first step. You can't simply move about searching for the gold. You must have the idea about where the gold would be available. Then comes practice, application, and so on. So, to know that there is God, and God's nature is ever blissful, ever truthful. He is always existent. He is ever existent. That means there is no question of birth and death. So this aspect must be known to every one of us. That gives a very good motivation to practice the path of knowledge. How wonderful it is! You have no death at all. You are always existent. That means you are not disappointed at all. Disappointments, frustrations all come for some other reasons. They are all dubbed into a particular name called ignorance. It's because of ignorance you are having frustration, you are having disappointments, you are having depressions, all sorts of things. All these sufferings are due to ignorance only. one word. There is no ambiguity. So, you have to get rid of that ignorance. Simply crying, oh, it's completely dark, what can I do? I can't do anything. By crying, can you get over darkness? Think of bringing the light. So you must somehow cherish the idea of knowledge. That gives you an awakening. It opens your eyes. It's eye-opener. Then you will realize, what a fool I am, suffering all the time in this world. So, suffering comes only to show you that you are on the wrong path. The moment you take the right one, the suffering just vanishes from the field. So that is the secret of knowledge. To know what is real, to know what is truth, to know what is liberation. That is knowledge. So, it is called Jnana in the Sanskrit. So, a person who wants to realize that absolute reality, which we call it as Om. Om is Brahman. And just by concentrating and focusing and devoting your whole time in concentrating upon the Om, you can definitely have illumination. But then you must be very strongly determined person. Namby-pamby people have no entry in the spiritual field. Simply they come and they drop off. Even though they try to come, they drop off. It requires a strong personality. Grit, we say. It is very much needed. Nayamatma balahinena labhyaha. This realization of the Atman cannot be attained by weaklings. It is totally said, declared in the Upanishad. So, if you have to enter into the spiritual path, what is first required is you must become strong. You must struggle for it. It's worth struggling. It is worth struggling. You struggle for so many useless things. Why don't you struggle for the illumination? How much Shiramakrishna struggled? How much practice did he do? How much meditation he did under Panchavati? 12 long years. Supreme Godhead incarnating as human being had to make austerity for 12 years. What to speak of ordinary people? Shiramakrishna himself tells, I have done 12 years of intense austerity so that to make the people know what exactly practice means. And I wanted to prove to them in a human way, is it possible to do practice with this body and with this mind? Yes, it is possible. Is it possible to do practice in this world? Yes, it is possible. Shiramakrishna also lived in this world. He did not run away from the world. He was mixing with all people, but then still he was not tainted by the worldliness, because his whole mind was totally absorbed in the divine. So, how did he practice? And why did he practice? He practiced the non-dualistic idea, Advaita, one without a second. If at all there is anything that is existing in this world, it's only one. And that is God, and that is Brahman. Everything else is permutation, combination of the same absolute Brahman. They are not separate from Brahman. It's one uniform consciousness, spreading out as infinite consciousness, spreading out as infinite beings. We are all part and parcel of the same absolute Brahman. Just like sun and its rays. Sun has innumerable rays. Are the rays separate from sun? How can they? They cannot even exist. They are inseparable. In the same way, fire and its sparks. Sparks are, tremendous sparks are there. Each spark has the same potency as the fire. They are inseparable. In the same way, we are all inseparable from the absolute Brahman. So, simply because you are practicing one way of religious life, it does not mean that your thinking of God is different. No. That's herein comes the value of knowledge. Sri Ramakrishna says, the mountain top can be reached. There are so many ways of going to the mountain top. First you must be aware that there is a temple at the mountain top. I should reach that place. So that aspiration should be there. Without that you won't move at all. So I always give the example of the 7 hills. It's a very famous shrine in India. I have gone there 2-3 times. Fantastic. Go as a pilgrim. Don't go as a tourist. You will spoil everything and your mind also will be spoiled. Go as a pilgrim. You will have the maximum benefit of visiting the place. The beauty of the temple is it is situated at the top of the 7th hill. One after the other, 7 hills. At the top of the 7th hill, beautiful temple of Lord Srinivasa has been constructed. And it is amazing structure. It is said that, in Vedas, there are different sections. One section deals with Vastu Shilpa Shastra, what you call architecture. It is there in Sanskrit. Tremendous text is available. And according to text, everything is fixed. You are fixing the door, your entry into the home, your kitchen, where the oven should be placed, everything is fixed there. According to prescription, you have to construct the home. Then you must live in that home. You will be tremendously peaceful. It is not a story. See, I happened to meet a person. One day he came to see me in Bangalore, and I was in Bangalore in South India. He just came to see me and he introduced himself that he knew Vastu Shilpa. That is according to Vedic tradition. He knows the design, the internal design, how the furniture, things are to be placed in what direction, etc. All those details. And when he came to see me, he saw where I was sitting. I had a separate building. So then he said, Swamiji, the position where you are sitting is not correct according to Vastu Shilpa. And then he said, if you permit me, I will fix up a position for you, where to sit. Yeah, do it, I told. So next day he came with a tape, measuring tape. He measured the length and breadth of the hall, the place where I was sitting, and he said that the sofa must be moved in this direction, it should be kept this way, and you should not be directly visible to the people. When the people come, they should go this and take right, take left, then they must see you. Not simply, you must not come directly under the vision of the people. See, he's telling like that. I was so amazed to see that. And the same hall he designed in such a way, he made, and people were searching for me. Where is the Swami? Then he told a story. It's a very interesting story. There was a family. There used to be always tension in the home. Always. Some quarrel, some irritation, some unhappiness. They got disgusted. It was bothering them. What is this happening? What is happened to our family? Every day, we can understand at least monthly once or fortnight or yearly once. Every day being irritated like this, what is happening? Something must be wrong somewhere. They were just worrying and worrying. What can they do? Somehow this Vastushilpa man came to know about them, and he went and searched their home, and he said, give me 1 month time, I will rectify everything. You will see how you will be peaceful always, all the time. Next. They allowed him. For 1 month, he took 1 month time to fix up everything in the home. And then they began to live in that home. After a period of a month or so, there was tremendous peace established in the home. And the temple which I am telling, Tirupati in South India, where Shankaracharya has gone and established Sri Chakra there, that temple has been constructed strictly according to Vedic Vastushilpa technology. Strictly. So you see how much it is prospering. Richest temple in the whole world. Of course, they are using the money also in a right way. They have established Sanskrit University, they have started universities, they are promoting Hinduism, and they are training the Agama Pandits who can do worship, how to do worship. It's an art. Simply anybody and everybody simply telling I am doing worship will not become a worship. It should be done in a proper way, in a dignified, in a graceful way. It should be lovable. See, worship means not simply mechanical or no, it should be very graceful. And they teach you everything. You go and have a training and come and then do puja, you will enjoy it immensely. So, the point which I am telling is that summit that could be reached, you can go by staircase, steps are there, thousands of steps to reach the topmost point. There is motorable road, the helicopter can go. So people can choose any path they want. What is needed is they should reach the place. That's all. They should reach God. Some people deliberately want to go by steps. They want austerity. They don't want a comfortable way of going to the top. Even though they can go by bus or car, they want to go by walk. So, all the religions are like that. They are all different paths. They are all pointing to God only. You ask Christians, what's your religion meant for? To seek God, is it not? Everyone tells to seek God, to feel peace in God. Then why do you quarrel in the name of God? You go according to your path. Don't divert your attention and waste your time. All the time people debating, discussing about things which are no more valid as far as practice is concerned. You hold on to your faith and go on, go ahead, march forward, go forward. That is the teaching of Sri Ramakrishna. So, when you come to the path of knowledge, you must be a very strong person and you must aspire strongly. And when that intense desire is there, then the spiritual teachers will tell you how to proceed in the path of knowledge. You should withdraw yourself from all non-self. That is, you must apply discrimination, vichara shakti, analyzing. You must be thoroughly rational and analytical in approach. Analytical. So by constantly analyzing, discriminating between real and the unreal, and once you know such a thing is not real, reject it mercilessly. Don't have the slightest attachment towards a thing which you know is not real. There requires your strength. That is the path of knowledge. It is given in a famous phrase, neti neti. Na iti becomes neti. Not this, not this. So that is the way to reach the absolute reality. So when he rejects one after the other all unreal things, then he arrives at a point where all discrimination between the real and the unreal ceases, and he comes face to face with the absolute reality. Then he enters into samadhi. That is, he will be in perpetual bliss. It's a state of tremendous joy. Tremendous joy. Once he tastes that joy, he again and again wants to be in that state itself. You can see, you can read Vivekananda's life. Swamiji, a very great Jnani, a person of supreme knowledge. He knew the value of knowledge. And by the grace of Sri Ramakrishna, he realized the absolute reality. And again, his mind was hankering after going to mountain top and spend time in caves, in meditation. In fact, he expressed his desire to Sri Ramakrishna. Sri Ramakrishna, please bless me, I will be in Nirvikalpa Samadhi. Because he has tasted that joy and he wanted to be in that state forever. Sri Ramakrishna said, no, I know you want to be in that state, but you have got a mission to work here. All these poor people are there who do not know anything about reality, and they are unnecessarily suffering, and you want to enjoy happiness all yourself. Share it with all the beings. That's the beauty. Share it. Simply enjoying yourself, what is there? Share it. There's a tremendous, a very good quality sweet. It's no doubt I enjoy it nicely, but if you give it to another person and enjoy it together, this gives another type of joy. It's a higher type of joy. Sharing. So, when he enters into that highest state, he becomes totally fulfilled. And Sri Ramakrishna gives an example of a thief. See, thief is always hankering after striking the treasure. He wants to take cash, valuables, and so on. So he has entered a room. It is dark. So he touches various things, but by touching he has got some intuitive knowledge that, oh, it is not this. This is not the thing which I wanted. In the darkness, he has to strike at the correct thing. So when he just passes on from article to article, then he comes across some other article, say a chair or a couch. Again he says, oh, this is not the thing. Finally, he lays his hand on a treasure box, a box containing money, immediately exclaims, it is here. And as soon as he become aware of that, his search ends. Such indeed is the search for Brahman. So till you reach that highest Brahman, you are not satisfied. Shiramakrishna gives another example. It's a very significant example. Once a visitor came to a palace. He wanted to see the king. But king does not simply stay in any place and every place. He has got his own particular special room where he is available. Special drawing room. Well, the palace had 7 gates. The visitor comes with a friend. He enters the first gate. There he saw a person with a gorgeous dress and with large attendants surrounding him. And it was all great pomp and grandeur. Then the visitor asked his companion, well, is he the king? No, says the friend with a smile. This is not the king. He is only a security guard, and he is dressed that way because he is in the palace. Anyway, they enter into second gate, third gate, and so on. Everywhere he was stumbling upon, and finally he came to the inmost part of the palace. When he passes the 7th gate, he does not ask his companion whether it is the king. Because the moment he saw the king, he became speechless at the king's immense glory. He realizes that he is face to face with the king. He has not the slightest doubt about it. The realization of the absolute is like that. Shiramakrishna gives another example. He takes the example of onion. Suppose you peel off the skin of the onion, what you find? Layer after layer. Keep on removing it. You cannot find any kernel in it. And he compares it to the ego. What is my ego? Is it my hand? Flesh or blood? Muscle or something else? If you meditate deeply, you will know that there is no such thing as I. And analyzing the ego, you will find that there is no real entity that you can call I. Such an analysis of the ego convinces one that the ultimate substance is God alone. When egotism drops away, divinity manifests itself. So, it is the ego that is the stumbling block in our realization. And here Shiramakrishna points out very clearly. And this path of knowledge has got its own discipline, Shravan, Manan, Nididhyasan. These are the three disciplines prescribed by the saints in the path of knowledge: hearing, inquiry, and meditation. These are the three disciplines must be practiced devotedly. Of course, your practice depends upon, the intensity of your practice depends upon your intensity of aspiration. But if people keep on telling, Swamiji, I can't do even 108 japa, I can't do, then what should we say to such people? At the same time, they want to say they are practicing religion, they are going to temples, they are meeting holy people, and they are struggling, etc. But it is so feeble. This type of lukewarm practice will bear no result. No result. If you are hitting upon getting the result, you must be very strict about doing practices. It's very simple. Why you are not able to practice properly? Because your mind is divided. 75% of the mind is sitting on the world and its delusions. Only 25%, even 25% is more, maybe 10% of the mind may be inclining towards God. And how can you expect any improvement or any worthwhile to happen in your life? So, but then life will not be so smooth. You will receive hard knocks. Kicks and kicks you will get. Sometimes the kicks are too hard. But they do come. They come to give an awakening, to give spiritual awakening. What are you doing in this world? Do you think life is eternal? Do you think you live forever in this body? It will go away after some time. What have you achieved? So, constant meditation, constantly analyzing, inquiring, this must be done in a very strict way. Then you will be able to enjoy the glory of God. That Brahman is real and the world is unreal. This idea must be first heard. What is the meaning of the world is unreal? Even though you say it's unreal, you are seeing it. It means the constantly changing phenomena. Every moment the world is changing. Everything is changing. Everything is moving. It is changing its color, shape, everything. So, first you must hear this idea. Then comes inquiry. For the truth of what is heard is firmly established by reasoning. The next step is meditation. That is, withdrawing the mind from the unreal and concentrating on Brahman, the real. Brahman is real. God is real. If there is anything that is called to be real, it is God. This is the order of Vedantic discipline. But then, if the truth is heard and understood intellectually, but no attempt is made to experience it, of what use is that knowledge? Such knowledge is like that of the men of the world and doesn't help one to attain the truth. Firm conviction and renunciation. These are the necessary things. With these alone can one realize the truth. Here also, people are frightened when they hear the word renunciation. Swamiji, in America, don't speak of renunciation. If you don't speak of renunciation, then don't speak of spirituality. It means that. But you must know the meaning of renunciation. What is meaning of renunciation? Renunciation means the mind should be withdrawn from all external things and must be fixed in spiritual idea. How far you are able to fix the mind? How far you are able to devote your mind? That is the meaning of renunciation. If you are desiring the worldly things, how can you expect God? God tells, well, you have got so many desires. First of all, you satisfy those desires, then you come to me. Those desires will be never satisfied and you will never go to God. Because the desires are multiplying and you are in the mess. You can't get out of the confusion of these desires. The desires have become so complicated, it has clouded your intellect. You think unreal to be real, real to be unreal, good to be bad, bad to be good, all reverse. So, that's the problem. So, renunciation means I want nothing but God. My whole energy, my all resources, my everything is to Him. That means, Shiramakrishna tells, first you struggle wholeheartedly to experience the truth. Then, if you have got time, then you come and live in this world. Doesn't matter. But people go in the opposite way. First we enjoy the world, then we go to God. It is not possible at all that way. So, Sri Ramakrishna's teaching is very significant here. So, firm conviction and renunciation are important. With these alone, one can realize the truth. Or else, a person may profess in mere words that the world is unreal and non-existent and that Brahman alone is existent. But the moment sense objects, color, taste and the rest appear before him, he takes them to be real and gets entangled, just like a man who verbally asserts that there are no thorns but bursts out screaming as soon as his hand comes in contact with a thorn and gets pricked. So anyway, Sri Ramakrishna approached God through bhakti first. He had the experience of God. He had samadhi. He was having the vision of the Divine Mother all the time. He didn't have to practice any more. Yet, Divine Mother herself provided an opportunity to him to practice Advaita, non-dualistic approach to God. So, and that's why when Totapuri, his teacher, came to initiate him into this non-dualistic system, Sri Ramakrishna tells, wait, I will go and take permission from my mother. And he thought, Totapuri thought he is going to, as usual, his mom, earthly mother, but he is going to the temple. That was very shock to the Totapuri. What is this man doing? Going to temple? And he is calling that image mother? Because he was the worshipper of formless aspect of Brahman. He does not have any idea about God with form and so on. and it was all looking like a fun. But then Shiramakrishna comes and tells, well, I have got the permission of the mother, now you can initiate me. Well, then he practiced and he realized the truth. And then he says, well, what I realized through bhakti is same I am realizing through jnana. So, same God you are reaching, jnana and bhakti, they are all, both are complementary. With devotion, with bhakti, you can taste it, you can enjoy the glory of God. You want something, See, how you are enjoying the taste? Because of the tongue. If the tongue were not there, if I say it's very tasteful, it's a meaningless word to you. What the Swami is telling, what do you mean by taste? You require a particular organ to experience that taste. It is just like that. Bhakti is like that. Bhakti is meant to taste the love of God. If you want to taste the love of God, enjoy the love of God, you must have bhakti. Shiramakrishna himself tells, once he was praying to mother, Mother, don't make me dry jnani. Dry jnani. So, knowledge with devotion, devotion with knowledge, bhakti, jnana, mishra, jnana bhakti mishra. Both must be blended nicely. Jnana and bhakti must be blended. Then you will see the glory of realization of God. Well, bhakti also is a tremendous subject. But bhakti, its emphasis is on love. Its emphasis on love. L-O-V-E. And Sri Ramakrishna gives an example. Suppose there is a smooth glass. If a thing is to be impressed properly, it should be coated with proper chemicals. Then pictures can be impressed upon it, as in photography. In the same way, on the human heart, it should be coated with the chemicals of bhakti. Then the image of divinity can be impressed. Now, what is bhakti? Love of God is bhakti. It can arise only when there is wholehearted devotion to God. Wholehearted devotion. And Sri Ramakrishna gives the example, the devotion, how the devotion of a chaste wife to her husband, that type of devotion one should have. Through bhakti, the mind and soul must be absorbed in God. When you are matured in that state, then you enter into higher form of bhakti. It's called bhava. In bhava, a person becomes speechless. His breath is stilled. And he will be speechless when he gets the vision of God. Devotion to God increases in the same proportion as the attachment to the objects of the senses decreases. If you are attached more and more to the worldly objects, to that extent your devotion to God is lessened. It is diluted. Diluted devotion bear no results. And Sri Ramakrishna gives another example. Devotion is compared to a tiger. As a tiger devours animals, devotion also swallows up all the arch enemies of us. Who are those? Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, Matsarya. These tremendous desires, anger, jealousy, hatred, all these things, they're all enemies. They just keep on bothering you. Their duty is to bother you. Otherwise they think they are failing in their duty. If you are constantly being bothered by this Kama, Krodha, they are happy. They think they are doing their duty and you are the victim for them. Well, these enemies are just swallowed up by devotion. Once the devotion to God is fully awakened, all evil passions like lust and anger, they are completely destroyed. And Shiramakrishna gives the example of the gopis of Vrindavan. They had tremendous love and devotion to Lord Krishna, but their devotion was not motivated by lust. There was no trace of lust. Sri Ramakrishna himself tells, to understand Krishna's Leela, to understand the lifestyle of gopis, you must have pure heart. Otherwise you can't understand them. Well, Sri Ramakrishna again tells devotion, how there are so many varieties of devotion. There are three kinds of love. One is called samartha, second one is called samanjasa, the third one is called sadharan. Samartha means unselfish love, topmost. The next grade is, next lower grade, little less than that, is samanjasa, reciprocal love. I love you, you must also love me. I expect love. Mutual love. Mutual. Sadharan means very ordinary. That is selfish love. One-way traffic. That is sadharan. Now, what is samartha? Sri Ramakrishna explains it very nicely. Unselfish love is of the highest kind. The unselfish lover seeks only the welfare of the beloved and doesn't care even if he suffers pain and hardship in consequence. The reciprocal love, samanjasa, I said, it is mutual love in which the lover desires not only the happiness of his beloved, but has an eye to his own happiness also. And the lowest type of love, sadharan, that is selfish love, it makes a man only care for his own happiness without having any regard for the weal or woe of the beloved. And then again, Sri Ramakrishna explains three types of bhakti. Sattvic bhakti, Rajasic bhakti, Thomasic bhakti. How many grades are there? The Sattvic bhakti, the person who is practicing Sattvic type of devotion, he does not show up anything outside. Everything is done without the notice of anybody. He meditates in the night, in his bed, inside his mosquito curtain. Nobody knows he is meditating. People think he may be sleeping. But because he has spent whole night in meditation, he wakes up late in the morning. People who do not know, they think probably he didn't have good sleep in the night, so he got up late. And a person who is sattvic, he is satisfied with just plain food. Perhaps a little rice and vegetables. Very simple in dress, not after luxury, loves to be austere, loves to be simple, loves to be contented. There is no show of any furniture or any pomp in his home, and he never seeks to rise in the world through flattery. These are all the features of a sattvic devotee. And there is another type of devotee, is called Rajasic devotee. He has got good show. By seeing him, you must know, oh, a great devotee is coming. What a big beard he has got, 2 feet long. Good hair, matted locks, and rosary beads with gold strings on the neck, and tilak on the forehead. With all this insignia, he is practicing spirituality. It's a Rajasic type, and he wears silk cloth at the time of worship and celebrates the worship of the deity with pomp and splendor. And there's another type of devotee called Thomasic devotee. His devotion is based on fiery faith. He has tremendous faith in God. He applies force to God like a robber seizing things by force. What he says, I have uttered God's name and yet I am to remain sinful. I am his son. I am duly entitled to the inheritance of his wealth. Such is the vehemence of this Thomasic type. The next, Shiramakrishna tells you how many stages are there for the purification of the soul. We have to pass through all these stages to cleanse your mind. Cleansing the mind is very important. If the mind is clean, definitely you feel more joy, you feel more peaceful in your spiritual ways. The first one is sadhu sangha, holy association. That means you must be associated with people who speak spiritual ideas, not with people who simply talk all sorts of politics and worldly things. Secondly, Shraddha, faith. You must cherish sincere faith in God. The third stage is Nishtha. Nishtha, single-minded devotion, one-pointed devotion, unadulterated devotion, steadfast devotion. They all come under Nishtha. Then the fourth stage is Bhakti, intense love of God. When you pass through these 3 stages, your love becomes more and more intense. When you become sufficiently matured in that state, you rise to the state of bhava, that is, a state of speechless absorption in the thought of God. There's another higher stage than bhava. It's called Mahabhava. When bhava is intensified, it is called Mahabhava. it doesn't stop there. There is still higher than that. The highest one, higher than Mahabhava, is Prema. Prema. Most intense love of God. This goes hand in hand with Mahabhava. The two marks of this stage of Prema are, first, forgetfulness of the world. He is not aware of this world at all. Second, forgetfulness of the self. That is, he is not aware of his body or mind. This brings the devotee face to face with God, and he thus attains the goal of life. And Shiramakrishna then tells you there are two types of bhakti. One is Vaidhi bhakti. This much of pious duty has been enjoined by the scriptures, so I am doing it. I am just following the scriptures and performing the devotion. That is the Vaidhi bhakti. Then another bhakti, it's called Raga bhakti. Raga bhakti means extreme love of God. Extreme love of God. Prahlada had that. Even from the birth, he was repeating God's name. He had such tremendous love of God that made him totally surrender to the Divine Spirit. And on account of that, he became fearless. He was not afraid of anything. And Prahlada's father was quite opposite. He didn't like his son to be so much devoted to God, and he was ridiculing him. What? You are talking about God everywhere, etc., etc., etc. And he said, you are telling your God is all powerful and he can protect you all the time. He did protect. But then the father himself wanted to test the veracity of the statement of Prahlad. And he said, well, you are speaking so much about God, let me see whether your God comes and saves you. Father immediately took up his sword. He began to behead his own son. He just jumped out of the throne towards the son. If your God stays in this pillar, let him come out and save you. With this shouting, he is coming and pouncing upon his son. Just at that moment, the pillars split open. And then really God took the form, and that is one of the 10 incarnations, Narsimha avatar, Narsimha. Half human body and half the lion. Lion's head and human form. Head is lion. It is a special form. God has to take that special form in order to deal with this demon. Anyway, and then Prahlada prays, O Lord, please grant him higher region, because ignorantly he did this mistake, he did not know. Anyway, so Raga Bhakti Prahlada had. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, another incarnation, he also had this bhakti. His whole mind was totally absorbed in Lord Krishna. And Shiramakrishna is telling, Jnana and Bhakti, they are like Ganga and Yamuna. Both are holy. See, in Sangam, Ganga and Yamuna join together. I have gone to Sangam in Triveni, Allahabad. It's beautiful, really. And you could see that color. Ganga, the holy water coming in one direction and Yamuna coming in another direction. You can see the difference also. Huge rivers. They're just joining. And it's so grand sight. And you have to go in a boat to take a bath at that particular point. Of course, they say Saraswati also is there, but Saraswati is not visible. Ganga, Yamuna, Saraswati, Triveni Sangam. Confluence of these three holy rivers. And Jnana and Bhakti are like that. So don't feel inferior or superior. A Bhakta should not feel inferior and Jnani should not feel superior. If you claim any superiority or inferiority, if you claim any superiority complex, you are disqualified. So if you are coming to Shiramakrishna, there is no question of superiority. Everything is same. So the beauty, appreciate the beauty. All paths lead to the same goal. How nice it is. If you know the truth, then why should there be any disharmony? Why should there be? And why should you feel bothered also? Oh, why there are so many paths? Why? Why there are 20 paths are there? Do you want there should be only one path? Then there will be stampede. People cannot go. Million paths means in million ways people can go. They have freedom to go. Let them go. Why do you obstruct them? So that is Shiramakrishna. Shiramakrishna has come to integrate all the religions. All the religions are rivers. They're all joining the ocean. Shiramakrishna is the ocean of all religions. Vedanta is the ocean of all religions. All other religions, they all come and join there. They become united there. They become totally integrated there. So we want an integrated personality. Jnana and Bhakti properly integrated in a person. What a grand person he is. See Vivekananda. See his Shiramakrishna's direct disciples. They are all like that. Blending Jnana and Bhakti. So let us cherish tremendous love towards God. Let us be firmly convinced that God is the only truth. God is the only thing to be aspired for. And let God give us devotion so that we can move onward in our spiritual path. Thank you all. Yesterday night we observed Shivaratri. It was a day of great joy. Lord Shiva blessing all the devotees. Some of the devotees might not have come, but even then God's grace is there upon all the devotees. It is a nice experience yesterday. And another most important celebration we are doing here, that is Shiramakrishna Worship. It's very special. It is on Saturday, March 11th. The puja is done in the morning, 10:30 a.m., bhajans, then brief talk, then special worship. After the worship, we have fire worship, homa, here we do, yearly once. After that, devotees will offer flowers, then prasad will be served to everyone. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavai तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat. May the Divine Lord protect us. May He nourish us. May our knowledge be fruitful. May we not hate each other. Peace, peace, peace be unto all.